I'm going to just step out of the way and let Jonathan introduce the first startup of the day.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me and having Nexar, of course. As a disclaimer, but I think it's part of the format. I'm an investor in Nexar, so I'm clearly subjective on this one. But my name is Jonathan. I'm part of the Samsung Next team. Samsung Next is a software and services innovation arm of Samsung Electronics. I'm a senior investment director in the venture group at Samsung Next. And you're about to hear from Eran and Ronnie. Eran is a CEO and co-founder, and Ronnie is a VP marketing at Nexar, about a really awesome and unique crowdsourced vision network that they've built. The Nexar network that you're about to learn about serves as a new data layer, indexing the real world effectively, which is quite unique. It's kind of a lot. Think of the world that if you could query the world like you can query the web with Google. This is kind of what they created. And what's amazing about it, and why I'm so excited about the company, is that while they were able to build this network that provides value at scale and serves as a network for third-party vision application to build additional value on, they were able to do that while also providing real concrete value to every single user who's using their dash cams. And by doing that, they were able to become the largest dash cam player, in-car camera player in the US. Again, providing value from safety to the insurance world. And by doing that, creating the largest video network of streets, roads, cities in the world, as far as I know. So with no further ado, I hope you, after the following 15 and 20 minutes, you'll be just as excited as I am about Nexar. Ronnie and Eran, please take it away.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I was just hearing, I hear some feedback, by the way, if you could mute everyone. So before I start, I must say, I just heard Jim and Yvonne contemplating whether traffic jams will come back to the Bay Area. So talking to you from Israel, which is a bit in kind of talking like from the future, I can tell you that traffic jams will come back with full vengeance. And this is what we're experiencing right now. And it's great to be stuck in traffic after all this. But we're talking here about Nexar, so let's jump in. Only if you want to move to the first slide. Okay, so what do we do? Basically, Nexar turns cars into vision sensors in order to understand the world around us in a networked way beyond the individual vehicle, and build the foundations and the platform for a new crowdsourced vision apps. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so basically our premise, our strategy, and our playbook has the following steps. First thing that we did, it was build a really awesome camera and services connecting and engulfing the car camera. And we've been doing it for quite a few years now. It's a connected camera, AI-powered, cloud connected, and people love it. And through that, we were able to stand up our own network of cameras and cars, and also be the operating system for third-party camera OEMs to further grow our footprint. And that in turn allowed us to build a massive data moat, collecting a lot of data at the vision, video, imagery basis, more than practically all the OEMs other than Tesla. And using this data, we were able to platformize it. We were able to anonymize the data, aggregate it, run advanced models on it, and in general, unlock the value of crawling the public space continuously and allowing the buildup of new services and new apps on top of it. So we're gonna show you a bit about it. But a few kind of details about Nexar as it is right now. So today we are the #1 direct-to-consumer dashcam brand in the US. We command about 15% of all dollars in the market, and we've seen almost 300% growth in the last year through COVID and everything. Like I mentioned, we're building this as a platform for new vision apps, and we were lucky to work with some OEMs to allow exactly that, and we'll discuss some of our examples. And we also are working with insurance companies that are also very interested in the vision aspects of things like collision, for example. And one last thing before we switch, we now have a footprint of over 1 billion miles of video and imagery on an annual rate, and we're seeing that as a significant growth in the last year as well. Okay, so the arc here is that cameras are coming into cars. Actually, many cameras are already embedded in cars. They are just disconnected from the rest of the world. Tesla is almost the only OEM that actually transfers significant amounts of camera data up into the cloud. But this is all coming in the next few years. And today, the issues that kind of hinder that prevent us from doing that at scale are these. The economics around data upload and cellular is still very hard for OEMs. Video in general is a tough cookie to crack. There are lots of considerations around privacy and anonymization. And in general, you need to bring value to users. And finally, cameras need to be software driven. And this is basically a blueprint of what we've done since 2015, solving all of these issues in the aftermarket world ahead of the OEM market and standing up this network with all of these traits. So I'll pass it on to Bonny that will get us into the details of some of the driver and other applications that we are deploying in the market.
Okay, thank you, Eran. In general, driver applications really come in two main flavors. Some of them are what we call personal applications, so that any driver could use and that are related to the line of sight of the vehicle and of the driver. And the other ones, the more sophisticated ones, are network-based and require a crowdsourced vision network. First of all, the dashcam comes with an app. It's actually one of our greatest selling features, and it's meaningful for users. They can easily use clips. Older dashcams didn't really help them do that. When you have clips, you can share clips of the road. They can work in groups and notify each other if something is wrong, usually in the family context. And something that users are very interested in is really home security or car security, and that's what we call Sentry features. So a case in point is that our Sentry ad, there was a Sentry ad that we ran around the end of last year, shopping season, and that had a very high conversion rate. And really what we're seeing is that it's part of an emergent trend in personal security products, really the ring world. And there's this big expectation of drivers in the different segments that we see in the market of people that want to monitor the state of their car. And these are very compelling to people even before we go into the crowdsourced applications. And another thing is that there's this big tie-in with insurance that can create very compelling applications, something we're announcing tomorrow. This is with MSI, Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance. It's a full accident reconstruction. We're connected to about 220,000 cars in Japan. It finds the accident, but what's most important is that it shows the collision reconstruction, both the first party and the third party. as well as tracking everything to the sensors and localizing that to everyone. That is very meaningful, both for insurers, for drivers, but also for the world of autonomous vehicles and understanding edge cases in AI. And now looking at the shared memory applications, shared memory is really, really interesting. Imagine, for instance, that you could see a parking lot that another car has passed just a minute before you were there. So that's a non-line of sight view. Typical application is safety, but we think parking spots are very, very interesting. We just finished running a pilot in Milan where about 36 drivers were able to detect many driving spots using AI, and saw quite a lot, and actually highlighted also issues in some of how people were tracking parking assets and parking locations. Otherwise, really proving that vision is the ultimate sensor, as opposed to telemetry or other ways of inferring where traffic is. Where parking is. It's very meaningful for fleets, for cities, for space management, for many of the themes that were touched upon before. And we really think that the smartphone has, just like the smartphone commoditized the GPS and created all these new apps, car cameras will allow us to index the world, will allow us to enable novel real-world vision apps, going back to drivers want the personal apps, but the crowdsourced apps, parking, safety, vision-based navigation, rather than telemetry and notification-based navigation, can be very meaningful. Again, this same data allowed us to uncover 250,000 dash cams, and really helped us also uncover that mapping data and telemetry data with regards to the location of those parking spots was not accurate, which really shows that vision with AI trumps everything.
Hey, Eran, we're about to run out of time, so maybe we can wrap it up in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Sure. This is another work zone detection that we can run. Eran, you want to talk about, and then Nexar Streets is the last one. Using images from the network, you can really create a Google Street View that on average we found was about 19 months fresher than what you'd see on average for Google Street View. And Eran, I'll pass it on to you. Maybe we should skip this and go on to Q&A.
Sure. I think in general, one last point is this is coming. It's coming first in the aftermarket space, and already it brings value to everyone participating in this economy, in this market. But it will grow much bigger in the middle of this decade as more and more OEM adopt this kind of stack and enable this.
Well, this is a fantastic presentation and really a terrific story. I mean, you know, it just goes to show that an independent startup can make a lot of traction in an industry which is otherwise seemingly dominated by giants. So congratulations on the story.